Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 10 of Zaf's podcast. I usually do a little bit of a plug for myself at the start, but I think today I'm just going to get straight into it. So we hit episode 10. We finally hit double digits. So I'm really, really happy about
Congrats,
that.
brother.
Thanks, boys. Thank you so much. Today, I have some really cool guests on the show. So I've got Defiant Dawn.
That's it.
The OG boys from Battle Bar, but now Defiant Dawn.
Exactly.
So do you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Cal, you don't want to start?
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Cal. I'm the vocalist of Defiant Dawn, and we're a melodic metal band from Sydney.
Andrew?
Yep. I'm Andrew Zaf, the drummer for Battle Bar, now called Defiant Dawn. And we've been going at it for a good 6 years at least.
Yeah, 5.5
Yeah.
in some form. So we started as Battle Bard.
Yes.
Back in 2017, near the end of that. And then kind of had a couple lineup changes, style changes. And now we're Defiant Dawn.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Now, but just so people know, the drummer of Defiant Dawn is actually my brother. So Andrew Zaf, I'm John Zaf. So just in case no one made that correlation, just so people know, that's my brother, the
Get
Mad
ready
Dog.
for a biased podcast.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that because Andrew's always, you guys, would you say you guys are a power metal band? Or is it melodic?
I would say we started as power metal. Okay. So when we all got together, none of us knew each other. So it was I think Facebook and then like band mix and all this other kind of stuff. And it started with just four of us. So Andy and I have been here the entire time.
You guys are the originals, right?
Yeah.
You
so
guys started from the start though. So it was you two even from
start.
Yeah.
Kind of. So yeah, it's an interesting one. We met up in I still remember because
Oh God, Cream Studio.
I didn't have a car.
in
Cream
frickin'
Studio.
Blacktown, man.
in Blacktown, which I'm from the north, so
boy.
And for some reason I didn't have access to a car, so I remember it took me probably about 2.5 hours on public transport to get there. And like from the North Shore, like I didn't grow up in the West or anything, so coming to Blacktown to meet people I met on the internet.
Yeah.
At some studio that's in the middle of an industrial estate. I was like, this may be my last train ride.
You're like, is this a good idea? Should I be doing this?
So I go in, meet the caretaker of Cream Studios, who didn't do anything to, remove or reduce my fears.
So what is Cream Studio? Is this just like a place where you go and rehearse and stuff?
Yeah, so it's just like a rental space where you can come if you don't have somewhere.
Yeah.
You can kind of do typically. It's pretty cheap. You can go there and just kind of like rent some gear and use that as your rehearsal space.
Right.
Yeah. So it was Andy, myself, and then two other guys. They knew each other, but Andy and I didn't.
Yeah.
And we just started jamming and kind of worked out. The name Battle Bard was actually something the other guy.
For those who can't see on camera, that's it
Yeah.
right there, Battle Bard. I'm repping.
The OG.
That's
the
right.
OG shirt. Yeah. We had the logo from this guy already like made, and he already had like it all together. I'd never been in a metal band. My background is very much not metal prior to then.
Interesting.
So we just kind of took the name and ran with it, and then kind of as time progressed, and Andy and I started writing, more and more, and then like all of the music at that time kind of got to a point where we wanted to take things in a different direction, and we also wanted members that were committed to that same direction. So we kind of parted ways and then recruited a couple of new faces, still as Battle Bard.
Yeah.
But Andy and I kind of talked more and more, and we were thinking, Battle Bard's a really cool name, but we weren't really writing anything about medieval stuff.
Yeah.
And like a lot of the lyrical content that I wrote. So just for kind of reference, Andy, when we start and still to this day, does most of the musical bass orchestrations that act as the kind of anchor for all our songs. And
That's Andy right here, right?
Yeah, Andy's there.
He's the big one.
And then
Big man.
I'll do all the lyrics and the vocal melodies and stuff. And then over time, it's kind of got to the point, because I have no formal musical training at all. I've definitely the least talented member of the band, I would say, musically.
I think you're all pretty talented though.
Yeah,
like
but
you can hit some notes, man. When I've seen you perform,
Bro, you've got the pipes to show it.
yeah, exactly. Got some
Thanks,
pipes.
man. I just don't understand how.
Well, did you do any type of like lessons though? Any type of singing and stuff?
Yeah. So in terms of like music itself, like I've been practicing singing, but like all the theory and all the like the this doesn't work because it's a diminished quintuplet, but we need to raise it up to a fourth something, and I'm like, oh yeah, sounds good, boys.
But here's the thing, right? Like when I feel like with most metal bands, right? Any type of power metal, like from symphonic to heavy metal to whatever it is, right? A lot of it's mainly attitude, right? Like, do people really look at the technical side of things and go, you know what? If we did this kind of melody instead of this melody, I don't know. Like,
That's a really good question. I would say it really does depend on the genre, but in terms of how technical. But when I started, singing in the band and, we got together as Battle Bard, the thing that I was consistently amazed about was how technical most styles of metal are and how a lot of the musicians are. So I think for a vocalist, you can definitely substitute like technical knowledge with, a degree of raw talent and then just like kind of passion on stage. But, the people writing the actual underlying music typically have a really detailed, understanding. So like, Andy, I don't know how, but he can like write tablature and orchestrations and add in these like crazy melodies out of nowhere.
yeah. What?
Hillary and
No, you're right. Continue.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, but finish what you're going to say.
Yeah, Hillary and Jono, our two guitarists, went to AIM.
Oh yeah, Australian Institute of Music.
Yeah,
Yep.
and Sean, our bassist, he's been playing music. He studied music as well, and everyone brings something different to the band, but definitely a lot of technical.
Yeah, it's good to have
backing.
that background.
Yeah.
So, do you find, since you do a lot of the musical writing, Andrew,
That's right.
do you find that when you try to be more technical, or do you just kind of write music when you're thinking about writing a song, is it more how you feel? Does that make sense? Is that a really poorly worded question?
No, it's not poorly worded at all, but I would go ahead and say that, okay, how would
Do you
I
think
describe-
about the technical side? Do you think about like, okay, this note fits with this note, and that's why I'm going to use this? Or do you just go, you're just kind of thinking about, all right, this is the vibe I'm kind of going for, and then I just want to follow that route?
Right, it's a mixture of both. I'd say that.
Okay.
It's a mixture of both, especially in the context of if I wanted a particular time signature or a particular scale of a musical note, like say, for example, a E flat song with the E, like a minor key signature or a scale, I would roll off of that. But if I wanted something bluesy, I would go with time signature. Again, it's just a mixture of moods and things that I want to incorporate.
Yeah, okay. I think that's pretty good. I think that's a pretty good answer, because that's probably how I would go about it if I was to ever get into music.
Yeah, the one thing that also resonated with me, if you've seen 101 Dalmatians from the 1950s, there's this line from one of the characters. He said something along the lines of melody first and then lyrics.
Ah, okay. Wait, so when you guys write music, do you do the melody and then lyrics, or do you do lyrics and melody?
So typically, like when we started, Andy would have this like amazing kind of bass of the song, like the chord progression and stuff. And then I typically, evolve, like depends on the song. Sometimes the kind of subject matter of the song will kind of come to me before I write a lyric or melody. Like I kind of get the vibe that the song's giving off. Other times, I'll start with the lyrics and then work them into the melody. It just kind of, once again, it really depends on the song. And I think that's like, I haven't been in any other metal bands, but our kind of writing style is very organic and collaborative. I tell all the guys, and they tell me the same. If there's anything that they think is odd or can be improved, like it's very much like we want to make the best song. It's not about someone saying I contributed everything for this.
Yeah.
And as we've got additional band members that share very much the same vision, and they have this amazing technical abilities. Every time we bring in something, it's not like this is the song, learn it. It's like this is what we've come to at the moment. Like, do you guys have suggestions? How can we evolve this? Probably the best example is like the solos, the guitar solos. So Andy can write amazing guitar solos, sometimes that are not playable by humans because he's doing it by tablature,
by
which
Dragon
is a
Force.
call out. Yeah, Dragon Force on crack. And then we'll take the vibe, or Hillary or John will go in and they'll make it their own. And there might be a certain section that really jumped out. I'd be like, oh, that'd be great to include. But then, absolute freedom. Or, even in like the rhythm tabs, they're like, oh, we're going to improve it. It's going to sound heavier, or it's going to be more melodic or flow better. So I think it's so flowy back and forth.
I think
It's
that's
hard to
very
be,
healthy,
like,
though.
how it starts. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually really like that. I think because then the band all feels like they're
A
all
sense of
putting something.
inclusion, yeah.
Everyone's putting something into it. Everyone's putting their own flavor in it. But
Definitely.
do you find because everyone, I guess, kind of has an opinion about something, that some things can clash, right? Because if you're going to continue to go, okay, look, this, the guitarist wants to change this part, but then the rest of you guys go, oh, I don't really like that. And then wouldn't that create a bit more clash? Like, it is nice that you guys all have an input, but do you have a point where you go, listen, I get what you're saying, but I think maybe we leave it?
I think, like, there's definitely times where not everyone will be on the exact same page about what should go in, but it's never a clash in that, like, I disagree with you, you're wrong, I'm right. It's always like, okay, well, how can we incorporate what you're thinking? Or like, can we like work this together into something we're both happy with rather than one? But if it gets to the point where it's like it actually never has got to the point where someone's like, I hate this, and someone's like, I love this.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of that is because when we were like recruiting band members, we kind of very much tried to find people who are on the same wavelength and had the same kind of like core musical interests. So coming back to your point about, the genre that we started, and I think this is something that everyone who starts a metal band and then is in it for a while discovers. We were like, we're going to start a power metal band.
Yeah.
And so like Andy's like, I love Dragon Force. And I'm like, I like Nightwish.
Yeah.
And then other people would come and be like, oh, I'm a Camelot guy, da-da-da. And then that was, I think, the core. And like we all enjoyed that style. But then as we all got more comfortable with each other and, ourselves, as we started exploring different types of music, we incorporated different elements.
Yep.
And we became less kind of just a power metal band.
Yeah.
And more just a melodic metal band. So that could be something like, John is like a real rocker. Like that's his mentality, like Led Zeppelin, Steve Vai, that kind of thing. So he's incorporated things I never would have thought would have been the song. But because we're all kind of so much on the same wavelength, I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Like this, sorry, I'm just going to jump in because it's funny that you mentioned that, because there was one song, I think it's Hourglass. I'm pretty sure it is that song, or it's a different one. But there's one where you do essentially like a breakdown. You're a melodic band, but then you do like a metalcore breakdown. Yeah. And I was like, this is fucking sick. Yeah. It's my favorite song. I think I've got that song saved into my gym playlist. Like that's how much I love it.
Proper single coming soon. We're almost finished recording. So yeah.
How many singles?
That single.
What, Hourglass?
Hourglass.
Isn't it already on Spotify though?
Heartful of Sadness is the one that's out at the moment.
Oh,
that's the more kind of Europop one.
Yeah.
But Hourglass, which you've seen live a couple times.
That's probably my favorite song. And you always end it on that, which is mad.
Yeah. I think, and you've been there since like day one as well. Like you saw our first show back in like Bowral or Bathurst.
I think the first show was Wollongong.
That was
it?
Dubbo.
Oh, yeah. I remember when we traveled all that way.
6 hour drive.
I was doing my assignment on the way there. I remember. Oh, good times though.
I was nervous as fuck. Even on my first gig with Tormentus, I was nervous as fuck.
Yeah, but I think that's pretty normal. I think if you're not nervous when you're going to perform for the very first time, then I think you're not taking it seriously.
Yeah.
Right. So for me, I find that every time I even record a podcast, I still get nervous even when I podcast.
Sure.
Yeah. But once I'm in it and I'm talking to you guys or whoever's my guest, I'm really enjoying it. So so that's probably the same feeling that you had, that once you started playing,
yes,
you probably loved it while you were there. Like
exactly.
Full adrenaline rush, and then when you finish, you were like, oh, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know that feeling all too well.
Yeah. So that was your first gig, so Tormentus. What was your first gig like?
My first metal gig was that gig.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'd done like performances, but nothing in a band.
Yeah.
Because I started doing like classical like singing in like year 7 or 8. And then I did like musicals and things like that. So my way of singing was it's kind of like faux opera.
Yeah.
So I had like a lot of vibrato, but
that's why you can hit those highs. Like it's super impressive when I.
Yeah, I don't really know. It just kind of.
I'm just naturally gifted. What can I say?
No, like literally, like every time that sound comes out of my mouth, I'm like, fuck, I hope I can do that again. Like I
and
honestly,
then you do it again.
Yeah, and I think that's like something that's been great about being in metal And coming back to your point about having like, a breakdown in a genre where people would think you're supposed to sing about dragons and fairies and stuff. And that's also part of the reason we moved away from being just like, we are just power metal, because all our lyrics and, Defiant Dawn kind of resonates a bit more with that, or about, what's the Defiant Dawn, right? The idea is like rebirth, growth, life, the passage of time, that kind of stuff, which, I think it can be a bit cringy if you just try and like preach at people about those things. But when it's coming from like a personal place and you're just trying to
connect with people.
Yeah, and just kind of share things that I think everyone thinks about. Maybe they don't talk about, but Hourglass is a good example, right? It's nothing to do with medieval. It's all about, you have a set amount of time.
Yeah,
and you have to use it.
Yeah.
And like, you're always learning, always making mistakes, but that's the whole point the hourglass is ever turning, right?
Yeah. Evermore we are still learning.
Oh.
Journey we call life.
Ah, shit.
Yeah. But I think that's partially why we moved away from just being pure like one genre, because I think all of us have interests outside that genre. And it's what connects it. Like that kind of power metal core will still be there always, but not restraining ourselves and being like, we can't do a breakdown, or we can't have a violin in a song, or we can't have blast beats. Like things like that. It's fine if you don't want to do them, but if you do,
it's
like,
limiting.
Go nuts. And that's the whole point about metal. There's no creative ceiling so much, because it's a bit of a niche genre to start with.
Yeah, well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was going to say you've kind of veered away from power metal to go to the melodic side of metal now. And honestly, it may come across as me being biased, because like you were saying before, because obviously Andrew's in the band, I guess I'm a little bit biased. But I also think I've never been a big fan of like melodic metal or power metal or anything like that. I'll be quite honest. But again, I don't know if I'm being biased, but when I see you guys play, I actually really love seeing you guys play. Thanks, I think you guys are probably a very, 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 very underrated symphonic band. Truly, like I think you guys, if you can start pushing it out there, get like some social media and like get out there, man. Because I think you guys have great potential.
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I think
Thank you.
Part of the blame rests with me. I just got to release more things rather than trying to get like the perfect song. But yeah, no, I really appreciate that. I think we're pretty good. Like,
I think you guys are very
really
talented.
like listening to the guys, and especially like I'll have bits in the songs where I'm intentionally not putting lyrics. And I just get to like watch the band perform, and it's really nice. I think it's just the case of releasing more things. Yeah,
for sure.
And just kind of pushing it out there.
Because you guys are such a niche band, how do you find that? Because Australia is such a small country, and then you narrow that down to Sydney, and you go, okay, you're going from 20 million to 5 million, and then you narrow that even further to like the suburbs, and there's not that like in terms of the demographic, then it's not that big.
No.
Right? Do you find that that's because of that limiting factor, and because already symphonic metal is already niche in itself, right? So you're targeting even small demographic in that.
Demographic is like 45 guys.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So how do you, I guess, what's kind of like your strategies to kind of push your music out there to get more people to listen to you and all that sort of stuff?
Good question. I'm still figuring it out myself.
Yeah.
I think, releasing stuff online and using, all the kind of social media available would kind of be the best way to do it. Like, I can't really speak from a lot of personal experience, because like we're not a big band. So I can't be like, this is what works.
Yeah.
But I think kind of more generally, the bands you do see kind of blowing up, they have like, it's a band that's pretty good, but they're not going to like blow out of the water, but they have a TikTok.
Yeah.
That's not even music, it's a joke or something. And like
and they
their
just
page
blow
has like
up.
70,000 likes the next day.
Yeah.
So I think definitely like using all those social media channels, particularly the ones that are trending, would be the way.
The one thing I'm worried about, like those sort of, because when I was DJing, I thought about doing stuff like that. When you see someone who makes like a bit of a jokey sort of song, and then it goes absolutely viral, and then they just go massive, right?
Yeah.
And my worry was, when I was DJing and I guess going into like producing my own music, was, are people just going to see me for that song? Do they expect more of that jokey song? And that's not what I want to be doing.
Yeah.
I just did it to get viral. I did it so I can get big. You know what I mean? So I can get the eyes. Now that I've got the eyes, now I just want to do what I want to do, and people aren't expecting that.
Yeah. I think I've had the same thought where I'm like, oh no, like, I just want my music to like just organically get huge and like think like that. And I think like for myself personally, I've thought I have to get over myself a bit because like, this isn't like, it's different times, right? And like, that's a really good resource. And I think you're right though. I think like some people may expect you to do the same thing, but I feel like half the battle, especially in like a genre like metal, which, you can't just like put on at a party. Well, you can, it depends on the party.
Yeah, exactly right.
But it's just getting it in front of people. So there's like a really good example. There's a band called Ghost. That we're really big fans of. And they had like a song that was like, it was a really good song. A lot of their songs are fantastic, but without their effort, it just got kind of picked up into one of those like TikTok, when they speed it up or slow it down and then they put it over, some kind of general video. And it just got picked up because a couple of people started using it. And it was crazy in the space of like a month. And this is an established band, like they're touring like the US already at this time. They just blow up. Like Metallica had already heard this band and I think they'd supported them and they were sitting at about like, I think 2 to 3 million monthly listeners on Spotify.
Wow, that's impressive.
This TikTok thing happens, jumps to 11 million. Like it's crazy the power of this app. And so I just think, you kind of got to use it, right? If you want to kind of get your music out in front of people. Not everyone's going to like it, right? So if you do a joke song or something and gets up, but there's still going to be some people who stay.
100%. Yeah, exactly right. Like there'll be, and even if you get 20% of those people to stay, right?
Exactly,
like that's
right.
huge, right? If you went from having 10 followers to now having 1 million and 20% of those stay, it's 200,000 people. It's huge. But, that I personally do use TikTok as well. And I find that the reach is insane. And I didn't want to make the same mistake when I was DJing, right? I was like, I'm just going to let my DJing do the talking. People are going to listen to my mixes and they'll want me to play, right? And exactly right. Like you hear that now, and I hear that now when I'm older. I'm like, I'm a fucking idiot. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, you know what I mean? So now I treat my podcast a bit more like a business, right? So I know I do enjoy it, right? I'm not doing it for the sake of like, I want to make money. I do it because I do enjoy doing the podcast.
Fat stacks are just a side benefit.
Well, I wish, but at the moment with my 10 followers, right? So
it's the same as our band.
Nah, you guys got way more. So, but I treat it like a business in the sense that I know I have to invest money. So I know if I want to, get more eyes on it, I'm going to have to put a bit more into TikTok and all that sort of stuff. So you're absolutely right. Having, some sort of grab or some type of viral video just to get you out there is a huge, huge tool to have.
Yeah. And it's not even like, if you say you're like your initial DJing and like, our music at the moment, it's not even about like people hearing it and not liking it or maybe like really liking it. It's just literally getting the eyes on it because there's so much music released. Like it's crazy.
Insane.
And obviously, it doesn't matter if we're in Australia. Like, if you put it online, it's available to everyone in the world.
But the problem is trying to get it to those people who like that music, right?
Yeah, and that's why I think the kind of scatter... Obviously, you can do the Facebook targeting, but to be honest, I'm not sure how well that works.
I've never done that, so I should make a Facebook, actually.
We're not famous, so maybe don't give them money. I gave them like $20 and I'm still... Man, like we haven't blown up yet, so maybe another 20.
Why haven't I gone viral yet?
Seriously, every band, that's an experience. Like I remember the first time I boosted a post for like a gig. I don't know what I was expecting. I was like, there's gonna be like 3,000 people here, man. Like I can see. I see the reach has been like 5K, so like 50% will come. Yeah,
you had 5K like actually notice the post, like view the post.
Allegedly, right?
Well, it could just be someone just scrolling straight through.
They could have scrolled right past it.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think just kind of giving it a crack. Kind of lost my train of thought, but
you were talking about the your Facebook post that was going viral. 3,000 people there.
Yeah. I think just putting the promotion effort in, coming back to that, is important, and just so it gets seen, and whether that's seen by a live gig, which in Australia, like. Unless you're like one of the bigger bands, you'll probably be lucky to get like 30, 40 people in a metal show. The way to do that is online.
Yeah. Well, sure. I actually feel really bad for you guys because I saw that you guys were going to tour, or not tour, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
playing with there was a big
Valhalla.
and
Yeah.
I was like, they're a pretty decent sized band. Like I looked them up on Facebook where they have like 10, 20,000 likes or followers or something.
More now. I think they're close to like 30.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, if you want to kind of see an Australian band, like metal band, that's great. Like, sorry.
No, you're right.
Could not
Adjust it how you want, man.
say
It's no problem.
enough good things about Valhalla. Like the music and the band members themselves, just such a great band. But yeah, like to that point about COVID, all the cancelled shows. Yeah, we're going to do like a little mini tour with them. We like prepared this little acoustic.
Yeah,
set
dude,
list.
I felt because it
We
got
were
rescheduled.
all looking forward to that acoustic gig. Myself, especially with the cajon.
Yeah. I remember when you were practicing
I
with
was spewing,
that.
bro.
Yeah, man. I can imagine. It's a big gig.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
It was
how
good.
many gigs were you guys going to do with them? Because I think one of them there was a couple in Sydney, and then there was like some in Coffs Harbour. I honestly don't remember.
I think we were doing three or four from memory. It was at least
I thought it was
It's
around
been a
2 or
while ago.
3 from memory because they were
maybe-
doing the Sydney leg.
maybe it was 2 to 3 or 3 to 4, one of the two.
in New South Wales though.
Yeah, just like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
mini
South
tour.
Wales.
So like wasn't like a full Australia thing, but it was it sucked, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially during
Yeah, it was
COVID,
more the-
where everyone was kind of looking for. It was 2021, wasn't it, or 2021?
Yeah, 21.
21.
That was like when the big lockdowns came as
Yep,
well.
the
when it just
LGA
fucked
lockdowns
everything.
and the whole bullshit, bro. Fuck that. I fucking hated those lockdown laws.
Yeah, man, it fucked a lot of things, right? Not just like music. Music definitely got the raw end.
Don't
of the
get me
stick.
started on that, mate.
Oh,
Like, honestly,
I'm putting the key in the ignition right now.
in
Let's go.
ignition. The way the government treated the New South Wales government here, live music during COVID, it almost seemed like they were intentionally trying to destroy the entire scene. Like
music?
for live music. Like I still remember there was this one time I think it was around the time our bunch of our Valhalla shows got cancelled. I think it was within a month either side or in the same month. They had like 30,000 people go and watch a sport game. I can't remember what it was. A rugby
Oh
thing.
yeah.
And
I
just
remember.
like the double standards really fucked music. And like we were lucky. Like, obviously it sucked at the time, but we came out as a band still all
Yeah,
together. And a lot of bands didn't because
it's like very demotivating, right? You're like, fuck,
Right?
we're not even gigging. All we can do is we can't even rehearse. We can't even go to someone's house because you got the house rules,
Yeah,
right?
exactly,
Can't
right.
have more than 5 people, and that's like the whole household. So no one can rehearse. No one. You can just play on your own. You're like, oh, do I really want to do this or not? And then next thing you know, the band's dead, right? So you guys, I think you're absolutely right. You guys pull through okay that you still have a band.
yeah, like it was, I remember a lot of the bands we started playing with back in like 2018, 2019 aren't around anymore.
Oh,
There's
wow.
a couple exceptions, but I think, because the thing that kind of kept us going wasn't just the music, but the fact we were all like good mates and we all got along. And I think I can't even remember when some of the guys joined us, to be honest, because we've just been together so long and everyone gets along so well.
What do you mean? What do you mean they joined you?
Like how long we've been, like when they joined, if it was during COVID or, just before that
Like
kind
just
of
hanging
stuff.
out? Is that
No,
what
no,
you-
like in the band.
Oh, okay, yeah, got ya.
So, but like, yeah, there was no kind of thought at any point, it's like, oh, this is going to break up because we're all, so much on the same wavelength. We were still
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of creating just like remotely. Yeah. It's good though. I'm really
Exactly
glad
right.
we kept going.
Yeah. So so speaking of creatively, like what's on? So you guys are saying you've got your single coming out soon. So
Yeah.
do you have like an ETA, like a date from when Hourglass is coming out?
Well, we're still doing the final like touches on the kind of our initial mixing before we get it sent to
Like mastering and shit.
mastering, like the kind of proper people who do it for a living.
Yeah.
But depending on how long that takes, I reckon like probably under 2 months.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Like I'm just
that's
being
good to hear.
conservative.
Yeah.
I think our biggest challenge is to stop writing new songs.
How many songs you guys got in the pipeline?
I think we have like
The mastermind over here. How many songs you got in the pipeline?
Jesus
55?
Christ. I think we've got about an album's worth. So about
I think we
close
have
to 8 or 10.
how many completed songs do we have though? I feel like we have like
Well, you guys.
12,
when you.
13.
Oh, that's awesome. I've only heard I think 8 of your songs though. Well, that was when you
Yeah.
toured like maybe how many years ago now?
True. Yeah, we've got a lot, and we've even got like some that we've finished, like Voice of an Angel, that's like
Yes.
fully done. That we just have been so busy with other stuff, we haven't picked up. That.
Elements as well, but that's more of
Elements.
an incomplete sort of deal.
Yeah, it's I I think it's just a question. It's mostly me because, like, with a lot of the vocals, you know, I've been kind of changing things as you know the music's progressed. But I think this is gonna be a really good year for us now. With kind of, you know, COVID is very much in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, very much
and we're
so.
very much focusing on recording because I think, especially when we started, we just wanted to play live. And don't get us wrong, we still really, really do. And it's like probably the funnest thing I do in my life. Playing live music, but to the point, right, in terms of like you got to devote the time to, you know, really kind of make those songs crisp, to add the orchestrations in. We now play with backing tracks. So
That's been a total godsend right now, those backing tracks, bro.
it's really allowed our kind of music to go to kind of a different level.
Is this
New
for
heights.
is this for when you play live? Or
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have a lot of like fantastic orchestrations, whether it be like timpanis or like flutes. We have one timpani. It's really
What's a timpani? What's that?
It's just like
It's-
a big ass drum.
Yeah, big ass drum
okay.
that sounds like a musical note.
Okay. So did you make all the like orchestra like back sound stuff?
I do the basic orchestrations for orchestral things like
So all those-
violins and cellos, timpanis, like you mentioned.
That's impressive, man. Cool.
Yeah, and then we get like, so we had Sean, our bass player, join us, and in addition to being, you know, a fantastic bass player and an even better guy, he also has this amazing knowledge regarding like all the technical sound production things, which have enabled us to actually play, you know, with, you know, these kind of instruments playing in the background.
Yeah.
And for symphonic metal, like, you know, whether it's a choir or a violin at a certain point, it really just helps, you know, boost the sound.
Not only that, but with the click tracks, it's actually helped me to keep in tempo with the song because without it, I was dragging or rushing trying to get the song done.
Yeah,
and it
What's
just didn't.
what's a click track?
Click tracks is basically metronome in your ears.
Oh, so it's like bop 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 bop, like
bop.
just to keep
Yes.
just to keep you. Okay,
Yes.
I got you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Especially when you have like tempo changes in songs or
Oh my
in your
God.
ears. Like on stage, you can't. The first time I played live, I was amazed. I couldn't actually hear myself sing. So after every single show, I would blow my voice out.
No, did you actually?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like I couldn't
fuck.
speak the next day because, you know, I just had these like construction.
The little earmuffs that
little
did fuck all.
ear
Yeah,
things
yeah.
in. And with all the drums right behind you, especially on the stages, you know, we play, which is like smaller ones. You got the drums probably 2 meters away from you and then amps and stuff. And I would be like singing and I knew I was singing, but I couldn't hear anything. Like,
Is it really that bad? You just
it's-
can't hear shit.
You cannot hear anything. Yeah.
So is it just noise for you guys?
It's just everyone except my voice. Like I hear the drums, or particularly the drums,
Yeah.
because they're just so close and you can't really dull them when you're playing.
well, drums don't even need like amplifiers, right? They're just that loud in general.
Oh yeah, but like in a smaller venue with them like
Yeah,
a
just
meter or two
echoes.
behind you, it's just
Yeah.
that's all you hear. So, you know, being able to get inner ears for myself, so I can actually like track my own voice.
Yeah.
Just helps you like not blow it out every single time, which has also been really helpful for rehearsals and recordings and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's like tricks of the trade that you kind of learn on the way, right? So it's those little things you're like, man, I should really invest in like some in-ears and then so I can hear myself. Like I didn't even realize it was that loud. Like because there was one place that you guys played at. I think it was they're not called the Boldface Stag anymore, but what
Crowbar.
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 Dude, they are renowned for just having it's just loud.
It's so loud.
It's so loud, and all I hear is noise. Though sometimes you don't even hear, like you hear the lyrics and you hear the drums, but it's just all clashing and like they just need to bring the noise down that little bit so you can hear.
Yeah, they've done better recently.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not sure if it's like following it being acquired by Crowbar and becoming Crowbar.
Right.
But last couple of times I've been there, I've been able to like hear myself talk.
Oh,
Like,
it's about time.
at the back of the room, which is good
Yeah,
because
yeah.
to your point, when it's too loud, unpopular metalhead opinion, when it's too loud, you kind of lose a lot of the music.
Oh,
because it's
100%.
just the same. It's kind of like when you're recording and something peaks, and it just means it's too loud, so it just kind of chops off the top, and all you hear is just this wall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wall of sound.
exactly.
Well, I think it depends on like the location as well, right? So probably going to go on a little bit of a tangent. I went and saw Rufus. I don't know if you guys know that band. They're like a house band, right?
Heard of them.
Yeah. So I went and saw them in Brisbane, and they were playing in like this big open stage area. And you would think that it would be quite loud because it's like a very festively sort of style. I could hear me and the person next to me. We could have a normal conversation, and we'll just like when you want the volume, right? Like you're at a festival sort of, you're at a concert, you want it to be loud. But even going on another tangent, when you go to when I saw Metallica play and they were playing at Ace Arena, that was very loud, but I could hear the instruments. I could hear all the notes. I could hear the drums. I could hear the guitars. I could hear the lyrics, right? Maybe as you get closer, it might be a little bit louder, but I think it just depends on the location, depends on the area. You need to know, like, all right, if you're in a small room, maybe bring the volume a lot down. You're not going to play to a festival level. You know what I mean?
Especially
100%.
with smaller crowds.
Exactly right.
Yeah, and the fact you can get a sound check, which we don't always get.
Which
makes a big difference. Yeah.
That's an interesting one because when you see local bands play, you don't really see them do any sound checks. Hey, you just see them. It's just one band they play. They might do the sound checks at the start, and then as soon as that band finishes, it's like rush. Everyone's on the stage, taking their gear off, getting the guitars, drums, seats, everything. It's just this big rush. Do a quick like 10-second test, and then you start.
Is the
straight
mic
away.
functional?
Oh my
Already.
lord!
Yeah.
That must be very annoying to deal with, though.
It was at the start
Yeah.
of our kind of career. Seems like a weird word to use.
Well, it is though.
Yeah. But you just kind of get used to it. You know, it's just something you deal with, and you know it's never going to be perfect sound. To Andy's point, particularly when you're in like smaller venues. But yeah, it's kind of one of those things you don't expect. But you just kind of hope for the best and hope the sound guy, you know, is actively trying to make sure people can hear you.
Yeah.
Which not all of them are.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
You see that firsthand.
I will cut into
go for it,
that
man.
point, especially when it comes to flights. Like,
Flights.
you know, when we're going either interstate or
Yeah, yeah.
internationally.
Yeah.
You want to be 2 hours early for a flight.
Yeah.
Because on the day that something can go wrong, it will go wrong, especially in the context of scheduling.
Okay.
So
I can't tell if Andy's trying to hint at the time that Josh and I were almost late for the Brisbane show. I feel like
there's a story there. I want to hear
I
it.
feel like that was a subtle dig.
Yeah, I want to hear the story.
So we'd been a band for like,
You guys have been a band for a long time.
yeah, but at the time of this gig, I would say maybe
okay.
about 2 years.
Okay.
Like that's from like initial conception, right? And we got the opportunity to play this thing called Wizards Folk Fire Festival.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I remember. yeah.
I mean, it was a good gig, but getting there was like
Wizards
an
Fire
absolute shit show.
Ugh.
So the boy, did you drive?
I flew in.
Yeah, so you
With that.
flew, I think, earlier.
Did they have a kit for you there?
Yes, there was a kit there.
Oh, okay. That must have been, right? Yeah.
But yeah, so the gig was on Saturday night, and Trish and I used to play keyboards in the band. We decided to fly down Saturday morning, and like our flight got us to the airport like 7 hours before we were supposed to start playing. And it was I think like a 2 hour drive. So we're like, okay, we got 5 hours buffer.
Yeah.
So we get there on Saturday, and we get into the plane, and then we're just sitting there for like 2 hours. So we've already lost like 3 of the 5 hours we had as a buffer. We
Lucky you
get
had
there.
a buffer.
Yeah, it gets worse. We get there and land, and then we wait another half an hour for just no reason. So we have 2.5 hours left, and then we finally get into a taxi, and we had 2.5 hours until our set time. And we had about a 2 hour drive. So we're like, it's going to be tight.
You're cutting it fine.
It's going to be tight, but we're going to get there.
Yep.
And then it seemed like every single person in Brisbane was just out that day, just being in the way. I think there was some cricket event or something that, you know, apparently must happen once in a lifetime because I've never seen so many people just around. Yeah, so we were in the car, I think, for about 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
were like coming up to our time, but we were like, okay, so we'll still get there with like 10 minutes left. But then I start getting somewhat frantic calls from the boys because
Wow, so the boys are there.
yeah, so
This is
3 of
you
the
and
5,
Tresh.
me and Tresh were there.
Yeah, okay.
Saying, the promoters are saying, you guys have to, this is like when we still have 45 minutes to an hour to actually get there.
Yeah.
Going, the promoter says we have to go on next. And I go, what? And he goes, oh, well, like because all the other bands, like 3 bands, they couldn't actually do half an hour sets. So they did like 15 to 20 minute sets. So we're like running an hour ahead of time.
Oh, fuck.
And so, but when we were in traffic, so we're just like, well,
Yeah, well,
yeah,
can't
I
really
don't
do
really
anything.
know what you want us to do. And I think, eventually it all worked out, and we managed to get there by the time we were supposed to play, and we played.
Yeah.
But ever since that event, I think it's pretty hard to kind of stress any of us out about.
Yeah.
You
Once
know,
you go
like
through like
scheduling
an
and stuff, yeah,
Yeah.
like that was a bit of a nightmare, but it was fun. We had a really good gig, and yeah. But to Andy's point, scheduling, important.
Yeah, so I see what you mean now, like making sure you have that buffer.
Yep.
Oh man. So because I'm going to kind of backtrack a little bit into the niche of power metal, right? What's networking like? Because who do you talk to try and find gigs who want symphonic bands?
That's a really good question. At the start, it's very much like friend of a friend. So it's like through social media and stuff like that, there are ways to get in touch with, like any kind of niche community. It's really good, like having Facebook groups dedicated to metal in Sydney or like in Australia.
Yep.
And people will post kind of if they're even looking for a member or they'll have a show they want to try and get some bands on the bill. So that's like their kind of entry point. So ours was one of the guys who was there when we started. He had a mate who was putting on a show down in Dubbo.
Yep, Dubbo.
Okay.
Dubbo 2017. Oh,
And that was the kind of
Cue Zoom.
That was the kind of start of it. And then from that point, you play with bands, and then they're like, oh, when we came here last time, really enjoyed playing with XYZ band. Let's see if they're available.
Yeah.
Or you're at shows and you kind of meet other people that are in the scene, and then like a lot of people that are in the scene also play.
Yeah.
So you kind of form connections that way. And then there's, promotion companies that, from kind of even the low kind of end up to like, Metallica's come in, that kind of produce things. So, you have like Metal Ruse Entertainment, Sydney Metal Sydney, I think is don't quote me on that. Then you have like Overdrive, then you have Destroy All Lines kind of, as you progress up.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of those guys who aren't doing the, Destroy All Lines Metallica tours are also involved in like the normal kind of local scene. And so that's how it kind of works. And it's just, it very much is talking to people and reaching out to people.
Yeah.
It's less like here's a formal application to do something.
Yeah, 100%. Like in the music industry, I had another DJ on, and one of the biggest things that he said is networking is a huge deal, right? Just go be friendly, go be nice, and go talk to other bands. Like, or in this case, he was talking about other DJs, right? But in your case, go talk to other bands, other drummers, other like singers, whoever. And, especially if they're, I guess a veteran, so to speak, in the scene, so that if they get a lot of gigs, they'll want to bring you on sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you just kind of expand from there.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a lot of good Sydney and like New South Wales bands out there. It's just kind of making the effort, I think.
100%. Yeah, I think everyone needs to make if you want to take it seriously, then you have to make the effort too.
And just like not being like a dick.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
If you're a dick, no
yeah.
one's going to hire you.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's all relationships. So like doesn't matter how good you are as a band or whatever instrument you play. People don't like hanging out, or at least kind of generally being with you. You probably won't get many gigs. Yeah.
No, 100%. So I want to also backtrack to what's on the cards for Defiant Dawn. So we've established that we're saying roughly about 2 months you've got the single coming out.
Yep.
You've got about how many songs complete? About 13?
Jeez, I'd have to count.
Just roughly. We'll say conservative
Let's say
10.
10. Yeah, conservative 10.
Yeah. So then I guess the next thing for you guys would be to kind of maybe release an album, right? Or at least an EP of some sort.
Yeah, it's funny you say it. We've actually been discussing that, and it's quite an interesting one. Like, obviously, we want to release an album, and we love that. But it's also just kind of the way people consume music at the moment.
So what do you mean by that? Like just because everyone's listening on Spotify, or are you comfortable by the way? I feel like the chair's like a little bit
mate,
fucked.
It's just my back's fucked. I've been at the desk all day. I think just the way people kind of interact with music, unless you're like an established band. So, you know, if a Metallica releases an album, there'll be people that listen to it, you know, front
Just
to back.
diehard fans, yeah.
Front to back. Like they'll sit down and listen to an album. But when you're, you know, a newer or smaller band, I think people's kind of attention to the new music is
Somewhat limited.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
for
you'll listen
sure.
because coming back to our point about there being so much online, right? People listen to a song, and you could have an album of 10 songs, and they'll put on the first song, and if they're not into it,
They won't listen to
they
the
might
rest.
not listen to anything else. And I think that's kind of part of that's like, you know, the way all social media is at the moment, like, you know, probably TikTok and like Instagram Reels is very much like just the flick. It's like,
Yeah.
does it instantly grab me? No.
Yeah.
Onto the 10,000 other songs that are available.
I'm going to go on a tangent now. So
Yeah, no, please.
I was watching this TikTok about this guy, and he was saying, if you don't make a small video or short film video and it doesn't grab you within the first 2 seconds, it's a shit video. So I guess, and because the attention span I'm going to re-say what I'm going to say, if that even made sense. Because of that short form media, it's now making it even harder for people to just sit down and listen, right? And you're right. Like if they listen to that first song and they go, no, I don't like it, they're not going to listen to the rest, which is shit because, it's because you might not like one or two songs, but then you like the other 8. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
and
right?
it's the same with
Yeah.
me with Bullet for My Valentine. Bullet for My Valentine's one of my favorite bands.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, I love them, but I don't like all their songs.
Yeah.
So, you know, even though they are my favorite band.
Yeah, and like I think that's an interesting thing to think about. Like, you know, if Bullet for My Valentine were a band coming out now and you heard one of the songs you don't like, it's like
Yeah, they're
maybe
shit.
then you never hear, you know, all their famous songs that you're super into, right?
Like Tears Don't Fall, for example.
Exactly, right?
Well, yeah.
So,
I think also there's a bit of marketing in that play, like, because they know the first song's got to have to be the good song.
yeah,
Has to be,
And
right?
I think that's the tension, like, because especially like in metal, which is not a genre that people go into, like trying to get rich.
Yeah.
Right? It's very much like I would say it's probably common with all non-mainstream music, I would say, rather than just metal. But, you know, particularly metal in that, you know, the average person can listen to like a funk album and they're not necessarily going to be like, oh, I can't listen to this kind of stuff. But with metal, that is a reaction that, you know, does sometimes come out. You kind of got to get that balance of, well, we really want to tell like a story, or we don't want to like rush the music to just have some like crazy thing up front that makes people stop their scrolling. We do actually want to do music for the sake of music. And
Yeah.
I think that's something that, you know, Defiant Dawn, we do. Like this, the focus is very much like we want to create what in our opinion is a great song. We don't just want to do something that's like, you know, musical popcorn that just like, you know, people
exactly
can just
right.
eat it. Yeah, we might get more clicks, or, you know, something that's like, you know, my girlfriend cheated on me. And then like the chorus is like, but not to shit on that kind of music.
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
definitely
Well, it
think,
works, right? So.
Yeah, but also it's like good. Like, you know, I really like Ed Sheeran. Like I don't really care about that. And there's pop artists that I think are really talented. Like that Ariana Grande chick, like she's an absolutely incredible singer. Same
Got
as
some bars on her,
Justin
man.
Bieber, but like it's not my type of music.
Yeah.
But like
you can appreciate it, right?
100%.
Yeah.
But for like me personally, I wouldn't like write a song
Yeah.
with, like
yeah.
Boyfriend by Justin Bieber, right?
Yeah,
With like
yeah.
whisper talk, and it's all about like those kind of things.
Yeah.
And that's because me personally, I don't find that like
There's
musically fulfilling. Just because of where it's at. But that's not to say that like
Well,
that isn't a, you know, meaningful type of music. But it's just my personal opinion. And so you're kind of trying to balance, you know, wanting people to hear your music, because obviously, you know, that's why you make music. Well, one of the reasons you do. Obviously, the first is to kind of create something together as a band that you really enjoy. But then part of that is, you know, you want to share it with people, and hopefully they kind of, the message that you've put in the music resonates with them. And so trying to kind of, you know, just do the music that you want to do, but then also kind of appeal to what is,
Yeah.
you know, the kind of,
the general audience.
yeah, like
in
that kind
sense.
of the TikTok kind of music,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. I get ya.
And we very much have stayed like on we just want to do our own music. And, you know, if people like it, that's fantastic. We're willing to share it, but we haven't like kind of changed our music to try and fit some kind of perceived formula for success.
Yeah. Well, I actually showed Andrew this TikTok ages ago, and I'm like, you guys should do something similar, not copy this exact person. So the TikTok was a guy who there was this trending TikTok song, but then all he did was just transform it into the style of rock or punk rock that he likes to play.
Oh yeah, is that like Frog Leap Studios or something?
Oh, I can't remember.
There's
the
a
name.
lot of them.
Loveless?
Yeah, Loveless. That's the one.
Middle of the Night?
Middle of the Night. Yeah,
I know that one.
Yeah,
I've got it on
that's-
my Spotify playlist.
Yeah. It's a really like the way he did it in his own flavor, so to speak. Like he obviously copied all the lyrics and all that sort of stuff, but just the way he played that song fitted his style.
100%.
Yeah, and I was saying to Andrew, like, if you did a not a power metal, a symphonic metal version, right? I've got to be more
Symphonic power metal.
Symphonic
Yeah.
neoclassical Peruvian
Yeah.
dance metal. Yeah.
So yeah, you've got to be a bit more like make that song, but make it fitted to your band.
Yeah.
Right. So people know like, oh, this is what your band plays, but this is a fucking banger of a song.
Yeah.
Right?
No, definitely.
Yeah. So people know what they're getting themselves into. Right. So, and it was trending. So it just popped off. And I think from that one song, that guy's got like, 100,000 followers now on Instagram just from that one song.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
There's a really popular metalcore band called I Prevail.
Oh, yeah. I know them.
And they're kind of like fantastic band, like really great. I saw them live in Sydney. But I think they were like relatively successful, but like locally,
Yeah.
or at least kind of more domestically. And then they did a cover of Blank Space by Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
It just
yep.
got absolutely huge. And now they're like, I'm not sure it's just that, but that song brought
Yeah. Gave him the attention.
the attention. So people said, oh shit, this band's actually amazing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I don't think their music quality changed, but just the amount of people who they were exposed
exactly
to. did.
right. And
yeah.
you're still keeping that flavor, but you're jumping on that trend train. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I've been thinking about doing that for the podcast as well, but it's so hard to do that for a podcast. Like, I'm not going to jump on like a viral video when it doesn't even make sense.
What would
with
you,
a
what would it be
podcast.
like? Just reacting to viral
Yeah,
videos?
you know what I mean. I'm just like, what? Like,
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
yeah, and I don't even. There's some things that I would like to react to, and there are some things where I just go, it doesn't. No,
doesn't
it's,
make
it's not
sense.
me, right? This isn't me.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why when I find something that fits, then I'll do it. But at this point in time, I haven't found, and I'm on TikTok a lot. So, when I find something, then I'll do it. I'll definitely jump on that train. If it gets me bigger, 100%.
No shit.
Yeah, exactly. So, I think we'll probably wrap it up here, guys. We've almost hit an hour.
Really?
Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
it's
holy
like
sh-
it's 53 minutes in. We're about 8:35. I'm just a bit more conscious of you because of where you parked, right? So I'm just kind of
Yeah,
like,
for context, if I don't get here by 9, I'm walking about 30 kilometers.
yeah, exactly right. So we'll probably wrap it out here. I think this is a good segue actually, and maybe we might get you guys in for a part 2 when you release your single or when you release an EP or album. Get you
Fucking
guys,
king.
yeah, 100%. We get you boys in here. We might even maybe play a song on the
Ooh,
potty.
acoustic little one.
Yeah, 100%. What do you guys reckon about that?
I'm keen.
100%.
I'm down for it.
Yeah,
All right, we're
for
getting
sure.
exclusive here, guys.
Never before seen.
yeah. So, do you guys want to throw up some socials about where people can find you?
Yeah, for sure. So we're
do it.
Defiant Dawn, Defiant Space Dawn. It's not Space Dawn, by the way. It's just a space between Defiant and Dawn. We're on Facebook and Instagram, and I've been told that we have a TikTok.
Oh, you have a TikTok.
Apparently,
I'll follow
I
you guys.
asked the youngest in our band to set it up, but I'm not sure of the status. So
Okay.
I would stick to Facebook and Instagram. We're looking to release a single kind of in the next 2 months, Hourglass.
Yep. Is that
and
coming out on Spotify? Like, where's that?
that
gonna
will come out
out?
on Spotify, YouTube, and other places that
Yeah.
I'm sure we are
Sorry,
through our distributors.
Segue. You guys doing a video clip for it?
Trying to. It's kind of hard with metal without it making look shit. Because there's like, I'm not identifying anything, but there are some really shit metal music videos out there because
Good God.
it's kind
almighty.
of like you can't just film yourself, walking down the street.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe you can, but it's kind of because of the intensity of the music.
Yeah.
It typically requires a bit more of an intense kind of.
Oh, you probably
setting.
need like animations and stuff. Is that what you mean?
Well, kind of just
having-
like you need a stage, or maybe like you got to put a lot more effort in, I would say, than like an indie folk music video where I could like walk through a field or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, if we can, we would
Yeah.
or will, but it's definitely that would maybe come after the single. So like we'd release the single and then when we've got round to it, release a music video just to for the 20 people who are listening, just to give them something,
Actually,
Give it some promotion.
the last episode we hit on YouTube was 37 plays on. Sorry, that's a lie. I think 42 plays on Spotify, iTunes, and then we hit nearly 100 views on YouTube. So you're looking at about 140.
Oh, so I was saying 20 for our band.
Oh, you're talking smack about my podcast.
No. I was talking about the YouTube, the 20 people that actually watched the whole YouTube video when we released it through. Like, now
I'll be watching it.
Yeah, when we released Heartful of Sadness. Also, check out Heartful of Sadness on our Spotify
And our YouTube.
and our YouTube. Yeah, we have like a pretty cool lyric video on that one. And, you get to see the click-through rate on like Facebook and YouTube as to how many people make it to the end. Don't look. Just be satisfied that they stayed for the first, chorus and verse. And that's a win.
Guys, it is a great song. I do recommend you check it out. Andrew,
Thank you.
your socials?
All my socials. I've got Andy Zaff 101 on Instagram. There's my Facebook, just Andrew Zaffers.
Yep.
I'm also thinking of building a YouTube channel called Andy Zaff 101.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to be about me playing drums.
Nice.
I'm also privy to do some behind the scenes.
Yeah, dude, that'd be sick. I'd love to see that.
I also wanted to point that out during one of our conversations about behind the scenes.
Oh, dude, you should just brought it up.
Yeah, I would have. But I was so immersed in the conversation.
Just quickly, just plug it now. Talk about what you want to do for behind the scenes, and then
behind the scenes it's basically going to be us playing and recording our songs, and just pretty much that.
Yeah,
Us having fun.
yeah, dude, that'd be sick. I'd love to see like the behind the scenes and how you guys like make music and
And
some funny stuff that some jokes, PJs,
and also logging in our journey, our progress.
Yeah, dude. You're going to do like short form videos? You're going to do like some YouTube shorts, some TikToks?
I mean, so far it's just been Andrew just filming us when we're not ready.
Hey, you got to start somewhere though.
Yeah.
We have to do something unexpected.
Yeah, that's it. It's all natural.
It's definitely unexpected to me. Just turned around and was like, oh, hi.
Camera's right in your face.
I don't know about a Twitter either.
Do you have a Twitter?
No.
okay.
I don't want to
should.
start a Twitter.
Fair enough.
There's too much stuff going on. Maybe let's get the TikTok up and running.
Yeah,
and
that's it,
then we'll look at Twitter. I'm not sure what I'd say though.
Yeah, on the Twitter, the Twitter,
Big things coming soon.
Guys, do something like No, you guys would figure it out.
SoundCloud too.
Oh yeah, you guys got SoundCloud?
I think this guy mainly does most of the stuff with SoundCloud.
Yeah,
I'm more
nice.
of a subscriber on SoundCloud, but if you want to look for me on SoundCloud too, it's called Andy Zaff 101 again.
Yeah, nice. All right, cool. So I'm gonna do a cheeky plug for myself now.
Please.
So if you're obviously listening to this, I'm sure you guys know that I've got a Spotify and an iTunes. I'd appreciate it if you guys could put a 5-star review on there. It just pushes that reach that little bit more. I just recently hit Malaysia, which was quite nice. I had someone there from
Sup, Malaysia?
Sup, Malaysia. I'm actually going to be visiting you guys soon. So
Shout out.
yeah, so it's
A
really
lot of
nice.
metalheads in Malaysia, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There you go. I hear Japan's got a huge, huge scene
Yeah.
there.
Europe too.
Yeah. So yeah, my Spotify, iTunes. If you can leave a 5-star review, that'd be fantastic. I've also got a TikTok. I've got an Instagram. I've got a YouTube. If you're watching the video, you obviously know I have a YouTube. If you can like and subscribe to that, that'd be fantastic. Just on TikTok, I hit a 32,000 views on one of my last TikToks. So
Huge.
I was really happy with that.
Massive.
Yeah, huge. So things are moving up. We're liking it. And I guess I'll see you guys in the next episode. So for episode 11, we've hit the double digits.
Double digits, baby!
Yes, sir. All right,
Yes,
boys.
sir.
See you guys at part 2.
Thanks for having us.
No worries.
Later.
See you guys.
See ya.